What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Jets Report. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, I just want to go over everything we are hearing from Jets OTAs, as apparently Arian Smith is turning heads, and he could be a secret weapon for this Jets football team next season. But before we dive into it, I got to get you guys an updated look here at our race to 10K subscribers. We're taking on the Packers Report. They just crossed over 6,000 subs here on YouTube, and they are right on our heels. So if you guys are new here to the channel, hit that subscribe button as Joey Peterson just popped his head in the studio, our host for the Packers Report channel. So, hey, if you guys could help me out, help me beat the Packers Report and Joey Peterson to 10,000 subs, hit that subscribe button today. It's a free, easy way to help us grow this channel. But Nick Faria, who is at Jets OTAs, tweeted this out May 29, saying, yeah, guys, Arian Smith is getting open on almost every route. Needs to put the pads on for him, but New York looks like they got something special. And then somebody actually responded to him and was like, well, is he catching the football? And he said yes. But Arian Smith, we know his MO. He's a typical burner. I'm sure the Jets are hoping he can kind of be, the Jameson Williams for this offense. Just a guy that can run those deep posts, those 9 routes, and just take the top off the defense, or at least at the very end of the day, just keep the defense honest, because when you do have a guy who has that top-end speed, you always just have to consider, shading a safety his direction, or at least just having more eyeballs on him. So that's great news for Arian Smith. But also him in the special teams department, coordinator Chris Banjo says Arian Smith has flashed on special teams as a returner. Exact quote being, he's back there every day trying to improve as a potential punt returner. And, I think he is one of those guys that you just need to get him the football any way possible. And maybe him in the punt return game is another way where if he just has 1, 2, maybe 3, big-time punt returns this season, that just could be, a way where the Jets could, just be better on the margins next season. But I do want to flash Arian Smith's RAS score real quick, because this was a guy who ran a 4.38 40 at the scouting combine. Obviously, we know he's a little undersized, 6 foot, 180 pounds, but he's a freak athlete. His 20-yard split, absolutely ridiculous. And then also 10-yard split, pretty solid as well. Had a great 3-cone drill also for Arian Smith. But if you're just kind of, think about this Jets offense as a whole, and, obviously the wide receiver 2 position has been a big talking point, because, who's going to be the guy that steps up next to Garrett Wilson? Well, I think it could be Arian Smith. And I don't know if it would be like, hey, every single week he is getting the wide receiver 2 reps. I think it would just be kind of spot starts. And I think it would be some games where it's like, fantasy football perspective here, probably don't want to start him every week. It could be a situation where it's like, oh, he had 3 receptions, 102 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the next week he's barely a focal point in the offense. But I do think he'll have some games this next season where he does have some big-time plays. But it's just going to come down to his hands, and I mean this more of a broad view of his career. Like, if he wants to reach that potential of being one of the best burners in the National Football League, it's going to have to come down to his hands, because that has been the one main issue that has followed him throughout his entire career, and especially this past season. Like, you guys see the burner potential up there. 17 yards per catch for Georgia, 48 receptions, 817 yards, 4 touchdowns in 14 games played. But what's the negative? All the way on the right of your screen, 10 drops from Arian Smith. And if he is a guy who will probably have limited opportunity in this Jets offense, it's probably going to be, I'd probably say average around, like on a good game, like 4 to 5 targets. And those targets will probably be on big play, deep shots. You just can't afford to drop any of those, especially at the NFL level. So whether it's Arian Smith or Malachi Corley, one of these two, I'm anticipating is going to step up and be that wide receiver 2 for the Jets this next season. Hopefully Corley can kind of be in that Deebo Samuel role, as he was getting compared to him when he was coming out. So, again, I'm not worried about the wide receiver 2 spot. I think it's great news for Jets fans that, Arian Smith taking that next, or looking like he could be, a big focal point for the offense this upcoming season. But also another guy, how about Xavier Gibson? He's having another strong start to OTAs, coming in from Faria as well, saying very shifty and continues to get open. Similar start to last season. So again, just another guy in that rotation on this team that could step in on any given game and be that wide receiver next to Garrett Wilson. But I also want to get you guys this. Tanner Engstrand was meeting with the media for the first time, and Ryan Dunleavy had a couple of notes. First off, his philosophy is to play fast, and that makes sense coming from the Detroit Lions. And as she mentioned, 3 NFL head coaches are his main influence. That influences being Dan Campbell, Ben Johnson and Jim Harbaugh. I love that combination that he has right there. But also keep in mind, him mentioning Jim Harbaugh in this, I think it was almost him kind of telling Jets fans, like, yeah, we are going to be a run first team. Obviously, Ben Johnson was with the Lions. I think that was him mainly leaning into his personnel. Lions had a great offensive line, 2 good running backs. But that Jim Harbaugh piece right there, I'm expecting the Jets to really, lean into the run and have that be the backbone of the offense. But also this, his last play calling responsibilities were in 2020 when he was in the XFL with Pep Hamilton. And then he ran passing meetings with the Lions. He agrees with Aaron Glenn, feed Garrett Wilson often. Now, obviously, Garrett Wilson and Amon-Ra St. Brown are different types of receivers. Amon-Ra does most of his work out of the slot, and Garrett Wilson can definitely hop in the slot and be very effective there. But I'm curious to see how they're going to use Wilson. Like, you think about some of these offenses in the National Football League where the X wide receiver, like the main number one on the outside, is such a focal point. Like, you think of Cooper Kupp with the Rams, Jefferson with the Vikings, Chase with the Bengals. Like, will it be similar to how Garrett Wilson is used with the New York Jets? I'm assuming it will be. But still, I think the focal point, the backbone of this offense will be through the run. But I got a big question for you guys because I have no idea. Honestly, this could be Mason Taylor as well. But who will be second in receiving yards for the Jets next season? I think it's going to be, obviously Garrett Wilson, number one. But who's going to be that second guy? Maybe it's like Breece Hall out of the backfield. Maybe you do think it's an Arian Smith or a guy like Mason Taylor. You guys let me know your thoughts down below. Now we'll close out today's show talking about Justin Fields and Aaron Glenn because that bond is growing. Also, this picture just kind of gave me chills running up my spine there real quick. But they both look great. And just the swagger and the confidence that both these guys have. They're both just alpha personalities, and they both have this contagious energy to them. But Fields was talking about Aaron Glenn, and it's an absolute awesome quote. Check it out, saying, "He's one of the realest coaches I've ever played for." It's a guy who played for Mike Tomlin last year. He's not going to beat around the bush. He's going to tell you what it is. That clear communication, that trust between him and all the players on the team. I think that's what we need. Just his passion for the game. His energy. He comes in here each and every day with energy and passion, and I think that feeds off to the whole team. He's a great leader, and he pushes us each and every day. And you know that for a fact, that Aaron Glenn, when these guys are coming in the weight room, when these guys are out there on the practice field, it is going to be 110% intensity every single time. And for a guy like Fields, who, he's a big work ethic guy. He's always in the weight room putting that extra work in. He probably resonates with a guy like Aaron Glenn at a very, very high level. And he's still rocking the GoPro at practice. But also this next photo here, I wish I could show the video. His form when he's throwing the football looks a lot cleaner. Now, I don't know if this is just a typical offseason cycle where it's kind of like, the best shape of my life season where, everything's going well. Everybody's optimistic on their team. But specifically Justin Fields, it looks a lot more condensed. It's got a lot of zip coming off of his hand right now. Hopefully that translates to game days. But also Fields was talking about week one, and he had a great answer because the reporter who asked it was trying to get a quote out of Fields saying, yeah, I can't wait to play the Pittsburgh Steelers, go prove them wrong for letting me go. But Fields said this on week one. That's who we play week one. There wasn't really a thought to that. Every single week, it's just who we're playing on the schedule, and we just got to go out there and execute. I love that mentality from Justin Fields there. But also this from Faria, Justin Fields on Tanner Engstrand's offense saying there's some similar things, but there are a lot of different things. Tanner has been great. Then he also mentioned just talking to him, he's really smart. So again, this is the first step in this long process of getting Justin Fields used to Tanner Engstrand, Aaron Glenn, what they want out of the quarterback position, and I can already see that relationship building. So I think this is all great stuff, and more reason to be optimistic as a Jets fan heading into next season. But speaking about next season, and maybe the playoffs for the New York Jets. Will the Jets make the playoffs? Give me a Y for yes. Give me an N for no. You guys let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. We'll see you guys next time. As always, Jets.